Estar and Estar. Probably one of the most perplexing bits of Spanish grammar for English speakers. However, it's definitely something to get your head around, especially because it is one of the first concepts you, I guess, indirectly come across learning Spanish. After hola, the next phrase you learn is ¿Cómo estás?, which of course means how are you? And I think one of the problems English speakers find this so hard to learn is that a lot of English speaking countries in primary school don't go into depth about learning the formulaic and mathematical sides to our grammar. We learn how to speak English and all the grammatical irregularities and to just become naturally fluent speakers of English from hearing our parents and everybody else. And as soon as we start remembering things, we're already speaking English fluently, but we have no idea how the language is constructed. And one of the things that is just ingrained in our brains, just know subconsciously and perfectly how to use it, is the verb to be. And I remember learning what different types of words are called and what their uses are. And I remember when our teacher was explaining to us what a verb was, the concept of be and have and do being verbs is so confusing, because it was saying like were and is are verbs, which they are. They're versions of the verb to be. But we were so perplexed because they said it's a doing word, it's an action. So we're thinking jump, run, hop, like a physical action. And for Spanish speakers and Italian speakers, the concept of there only being one verb to be probably heavily perplexes them, because whilst they have two verbs to be, English and other languages like French and German only having one verb to be means that certain sentences that are a lot more simpler in Spanish and Italian have a roundabout way in English. One of them I'm going to cover very soon. But first off, one thing I think is really important to explain are the origins of these two separate verbs to be. It is, of course, the origin of almost the entirety of the Spanish language, Latin. And Latin had two verbs to be. Esse, which is where the English word essence comes from. And so this is meant to be the verb that really denotes a permanent state of being, and the Spanish verb to be that comes from it, ser, is generally used for things that are permanent or very long lasting. The other Latin verb, stare, which is where the Spanish verb estar in the phrase como estás comes from, our English word state comes from it. The state of something is very temporary. It could change over the next hour. And it's why estar is used for como estás, because it is about your mood, which can be completely different in the next 5 minutes. And as a complement to como estás, there is also the phrase in Spanish como eres. But because English only has one verb to be, that is asked in multiple different ways and doesn't really have a direct translation. I remember first coming across this phrase in year 8, and we were learning about descriptions of a person, but it was very holistic in the way that we were learning about how to talk about people, because como eres literally means describe anything about yourself where you would use the verb ser. So that can be your general character, which, unless you're a teenager, is pretty unchanging. Your job, descriptions about your, I guess, your physical being, like height, eye colour, race, things that are most likely never gonna change. Apart from height, I mean, if you're 3, you're gonna get a lot taller. But like once you're past puberty, your height isn't really gonna change. And most people, they may go from job to job. If you've got a temporary job, you probably would use estar, but your general profession, especially if you're something like a doctor or a lawyer, that's lifelong. And your general character, when you can tell the difference between it not just being your mood, but your character, that is encompassed with the verb ser. And your origin, you're born in one place. Your parents were each born in one place. The origin, it's fixed, so it is ser. And the same is true of your relations. Of course, like with your husband or wife, you can get divorced. But getting married and getting divorced are incredibly lengthy processes. Disowning family members is an incredibly long legal battle. Running away from home, doing anything really dramatic to alter the makeup of your family, it takes ages and involves a lot of commitment and effort. So these are pretty permanent or very long-lasting decisions. And this also directly applies to things. You would use ser to say what colour something is, but you would use estar to talk about if it's a bit rusty, if a little bit is broken, with the idea it's going to change. It's just sort of the current condition. And another thing that is always estar, no matter what, is a location. The lots of things, they can move location. I am currently sat in my chair, estoy en mi silla, but I may be in a few minutes out the door walking along the towpath to the library or the supermarket. En 20 minutos estaré en el supermercado. My location is going to change. The location of lots of things is going to change. My bike, my boat, my water bottle, my bag. But estar is for the location of everything. This is the really weird dichotomy. Like, Madrid is in the centre of Spain. They are never going to be able to, like, dig up that city, airlift it, and fly it to the south coast of Spain. It's there and it's staying there ever since it was founded 1,000 years ago. It's still estar. Madrid está en el centro de España. And there's another one of these that's the other way around, where ser is used for probably the most temporary thing we have, which is time. It never stops. It's always changing. It's currently 10 past 11. In about 20 seconds, I think, it'll be 11 past 11. Even then, if you do the seconds to try, time is changing every second. But it's sad. It doesn't make really any sense at all unless you think of it that, like, time, it isn't temporary, because time is forever. Time is permanent. Time is continuous. The continuation of time is one of the most permanent things out there. So of course it's sad, even though the time is different. If it's 3 o'clock, son las 3. If it's 11 in the morning, son las 11 por la mañana. So that is ser en estar. Remember, estar, temporary, comes from stare, English derivative state, location, even if it's never going to move, location, your mood, the current condition of something, doing something that you're not going to do for very long. And then ser, it is more permanent, comes from the Latin verb esse, essence. It is your deep inner core, your character, things that never change or take forever to change. Your origin, your family and your relations, your lifelong profession. And then right at the end, the one thing that is so the opposite of all that and so never-endingly changing, it's changing at a never-ending rate forever. What's the time?